Picture a man enveloped in controversy and legend, a figure whose name is equally associated with valor and ruthlessness. General Armstrong Custer, the notorious cavalry commander, has been carved into the historical record. Yet what truths exist beneath the tales of his career? What concealed secrets have remained, poised to be discovered? From the campaigns of the Civil War to the decisive meeting at Little Bighorn, Custer's legacy has been clouded in enigma. Accompany us in this installment as we probe the undisclosed narratives of General Armstrong Custer and reveal the realities that history has concealed for an excessive amount of time. Prepare to question your preconceptions and learn about the intricacies of a man whose influence on Native American history continues to be felt today. So, lean back, unwind, and let us commence this captivating expedition together. While you view this video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to our channel to help this community grow. In the records of the Academy's past, Custer accumulated a list of violations unmatched by any before him. Although he graduated at the bottom of his class, Custer's intelligence was never doubted. Each time he faced significant difficulty, he would concentrate intensely and persevere to recover. His existence was a combination of disorder and order. Having recently graduated from West Point at the war's outbreak, Custer's combat deeds demonstrated his preparedness for leadership. Acknowledging that his sole asset was his life, he grasped every chance to advance during the conflict. He positioned himself in the heart of peril to stand out, commanding from the front alongside his soldiers. With horses killed beneath him and clad in unique garb, Custer was a prominent mark for any enemy shooter. His showy demeanor complemented his audacious deeds. Custer never failed to set an example, engaging in every part of the most sanguinary conflict in American history, yet he came out almost entirely unharmed. Custer credited his fortune to his faith in it, receiving commendations for courage from his initial battle at Bull Run. His sequence of outstanding cavalry maneuvers made him a favorite of the national media, with the New York Tribune hailing him as a champion destined for future storytellers. The soldiers of his Michigan Brigade, numerous of them double his age, held Custer in high esteem, accompanying him into some of the war's most fierce battles and proudly wearing the vivid red neckties that he sported. In the intense trial of the Civil War, Custer's method of command was exactly what was required: bold, impetuous, and motivating to those who served with him. In combat, perception is everything, and Custer comprehended this thoroughly. He needed to be a skillful performer, radiating fearlessness and boldness as he guided his troops from the front, his sword raised. This depiction of Custer spearheading the assault launched him onto the cover of Harper's Weekly and became inextricably linked to his identity. Following his victory at the Battle of Gettysburg, Custer had risen to become one of the most renowned officers of the war, acquiring the moniker the Boy General. He stayed at the front until the final day of the war, receiving the flag of truce when General Robert E. Lee surrendered at Appomattox on April 9, 1865. Custer's most respected superior, Lieutenant General Philip Sheridan, gifted him the table on which the surrender was signed, along with a message for his wife, Libby. The note stated, "Permit me to say, madam, that there is scarcely an individual in our service who has contributed more to bring about this desirable result than your gallant husband." A striking aspect of Custer is the sheer number of his photographs. He comprehended the force of visual representation in culture and the ways it could be shaped. Custer's ornate uniforms and his lengthy flowing hair connected with the widespread archetype of the wandering knight and the romantic horseman, merging them into a distinctive identity. He curated his appearance with great care, letting his hair grow long and scenting it with cinnamon oil, taking satisfaction in his youthful, handsome features and clear skin. Custer's capacity to merge feminine and masculine qualities, polished etiquette with rugged bravery, made him distinctive. Although some saw him as a circus act or an oddity, generally his dramatic public image served him well. In the late 1800s, almost every prominent individual needed to embrace a degree of theatricality to seize the public's interest. Custer had a profoundly dramatic nature, always making an entrance that demanded notice. However, in the months after the surrender at Appomattox, Custer discovered peace to be more difficult than war. Despite his battlefield promotion to Major General of Volunteers, he was now a mere captain in the regular army. The military after the war had contracted from a force of over 1.5 million to just 30,000. Advancements were rare, and the once lively officer corps had greatly diminished. The era of daily combat and the frantic tempo of war had passed. Custer felt lost, uncertain of his next steps. In this period of doubt, he turned to the one person who meant the most to him, his wife, Elizabeth Bacon Custer. "Oh, Ottie, we must die together. Better the humblest life together than the loftiest divided." These words from Libby, his foundation and closest advisor, struck a profound chord with Custer, steering him through the chaotic time after the war. "Allow me to repeat to my darling that while living, she is my all, and if destiny wills me to die, my last prayer will be for her, my last breath will speak her name, and heaven will not be heaven till we are joined together." Their romance started in the small town of Monroe, Michigan, where Custer arrived as a 14-year-old to reside with his half-sister and study at the Stebbins Academy. By the autumn of 1862, he came back as a gallant 23-year-old captain, serving on the staff of General George McClellan, becoming one of Monroe's most desirable unmarried men. Libby, 3 years younger, and celebrated as the brilliant and cultured daughter of the town's distinguished judge, Daniel Bacon, was among the most popular young women at the Ladies' Seminary. Though not initially taken with Custer, she was ultimately persuaded by his relentless determination. Despite her father's objections, she was deeply moved by the feeling that she was the absolute center of Custer's world. Libby was not just a prestigious match, but also attractive and intelligent, traits that greatly attracted Custer. Their romance was intense and romanticized by both. "Oh, how dear he is! I love him so much. His words linger in my ears, his kisses on my lips." These were the emotions Libby expressed, capturing the intensity of their affection and mutual dedication. "I forget everything sometimes when I think of him. If loving with one's whole soul is insanity, I am ripe for an insane asylum." Together they embodied the ideal of the knight and his lady, a life of thrill and adventure that Libby deeply desired. Custer's rapid rise in rank overcame any doubts Judge Bacon might have held about the union, and the two were married on February 9, 1864. Even though their honeymoon was short, Custer was summoned back to service, and Libby enthusiastically accompanied him to the front lines. Defying the conventions for Army officers' spouses, Libby insisted on being beside Custer in the thick of events. Whether in a tent or a house close to the combat, she was a constant in his life. In her own right, Libby was a compelling and resilient person. There was a feeling that their paths were merged, a shared endeavor undertaken together. Libby recognized in Custer a drive for significance, and she was committed to sharing in that pursuit. When parted by the turmoil of war, they comforted each other through a constant exchange of letters, many extending to 20 pages or longer. He tenderly named her, "My Rosebud," or "My Darling Sunbeam," while she called him Ottie, a nickname from his youth, or simply Beau. From the start, they considered their lives indivisible. "When I think of how successful I have been of late, and how much has been said of my conduct and gallantry, I think she will hear of it and will be proud of her boy," Custer wrote. "Remember, I cannot love as I do without my life blending with yours." Their relationship was one of mutual respect. "I would not lose my individuality, but would be, as a wife should be, part of her husband," a life within a life. Libby stated, "I was never an admirer of a submissive wife, but I wish to look to my husband as superior in judgment and experience, and to be guided by him in all things." She did all she could to advance her husband's profession, convinced he had unique gifts and that he was shaping events. Finally, in the fall of 1866, Custer was invited to join the 7th Cavalry. Did General Armstrong Custer have a reputation as a ladies' man in addition to his military accomplishments?